Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 2, The Search, Part 2. Odo reunites with his people, who turn out to be the founders and general no-good bad guy type people, whilst Sisko and chums have a taste of what the Dominion's form of peace would be like. So, what do you think?
I liked it a lot. It was a nice conclusion. I like what they did with Odo's origins and how they wrapped it in with the stuff about the Dominion. They used it was all a dream trope, but it didn't feel cheap, and that's difficult to do.
I was going to ask, because that sort of trope, it just falls completely flat, but yeah, I agree, it didn't feel too unfair here.
It was a relief too that they were in the Matrix, because otherwise Garrick would be dead.
Yeah, and Kira and Odo would be 70 years away in the other side of the galaxy.
And that reveal that the Federation would pull out of the sector, that would cause a huge shift and just completely disrupt the premise of the show. So that was shocking when they said it.
Yeah, the Federation wouldn't really do that. It's kind of obvious. Things are not as they seem, I guess. But I don't think the twist was given away too early. You get the feeling it's not quite right, but only when they blow up the wormhole. It's directly before the big reveal anyway, so they paced it well.
Yeah, they did. They paced it well. There's a good balance between not telling you and that gap of when you can likely figure it out and when they outright tell you is short.
Yes, gold star for them. Well done. You used a terrible trope and pulled it off quite well.
Which is cool to have our expectations subverted like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess these things are tropes because they are reliable. Like, they can work. We got quite a lot of plot in this episode. We find out who the founders are. That's a bit of a curveball. We find out more about what the Dominion might be like. Not very fun.
No. I really like what they did with Odo's origin and how their pursuit of control aligns with Odo's personality. It's just a heightened aspect of him. He's always talking about how he wishes he had more control at the station and how there should be more order, and they share that as well. They just have a more extreme view.
Yeah, it's not just one guy's dissenting opinion. Now there's a whole team of them patting each other on the back with some crazy, powerful technology. But it's interesting how their form of totalitarianism is not quite the same as Odo's, in that they're massive racists.
It's nice how they point that out in a subtle way, in that they hate taking the shape of humanoids, and then they talk about how you can't understand something unless you take its shape. So they're resisting because they're racists.
Ah, yes. I never really thought about that, but yeah. I don't know why they don't like to be humanoids. Like, they're bigots, I guess.
Why be bipedal when you can be goop?
Because goop can't push buttons.
Yeah, well, they don't need buttons.
Okay.
Just like they don't need doors.
How are they going to play video games? Yeah, I didn't like that. Doors are useful for other reasons.
Yeah, that line was strange, and it reminded me of, I can't recall her name right now, but the one who didn't believe in doors from season 2.
The episode's called Paradise, and I also can't remember her name.
Hey, I know it. Her name was Alexis.
But I know what you're talking about. This series seems to have something against doors. They have.
Yeah.
There's more to them than just blockading people's personal relations.
Oh, it's just a silly humanoid thing.
Or
No
if
one
they have,
needs
like,
doors.
a server room or something full of computers, they're going to want a door on that so it doesn't get rained on. So insects don't come in and clog up the fans.
I like the idea of one writer who just hates doors and he keeps sneaking the stuff in.
Well, yeah, he's sneaking it in as the identifying traits of different species. Half the gamma quotient is just insanely hateful of doors.
Odo should recognize the usefulness of doors, being a security man.
Yeah, even a shapeshifter could be held back by a secure enough door.
That said, Odo would make the perfect criminal. As we see in this episode, he can unlock any door.
Yeah, he would be able to do a lot of things in that regard. He wouldn't even need to crack the door if he could slip through the gaps. I mean, I'm assuming this one was properly sealed, but most doors I expect you could just slip through. Or, like, modern doors which have the keyholes you can see through. You just jump through it.
That could take a while, though. That's a tiny hole, and he's a lot of goop.
I just turn into...
A key?
Well, yeah, okay, that's the logical... That's it.
Or just turn your hand or a finger into a key, and then you're set.
Why a finger? Why not something else?
Oh no.
I like how the Jem'Hadar aren't that tough.
Well, against Cisco, no one is that tough.
Well, yeah, Cisco is crazy. But what I mean is the Klingons are super tough, and you can't fistfight them because they're so macho. Whereas the Jem'Hadar don't seem that individually... I mean, they're strong, but they don't seem like they'd outright 1v1 anyone.
Even though they were built up as that.
Well, they seem kind of angry and tough, but I think their strength is in numbers, which I guess we saw in the last episode when more and more ships just poured in.
Did you have any criticisms?
A couple, I guess. The classic criticism of Garrick shooting both the bad guys when they just stand there without shooting back. I mean, he shot one, fair enough. It was a surprise attack. And the other guys just standing there going, wait, I don't understand this plan.
What's happening? That's
What?
not ideal.
How is shooting him going to help? Oh no, you shot me. This makes no sense.
They could just be dumb hired hands.
I guess. Essentially, they are. They're not great scientists. But you'd think they'd be able to think their way out of that situation. Well, it's just a comedy scene, so it was funny.
Yeah, we got the quick one-liner by Garrick.
Oh, when he gets shot, he says, "Dang, this was my favorite jacket."
Something like that.
Okay. My other criticism also involves Garrick, although I say it's my criticism, I just read it off the wiki. When Garrick meets Bashir for the first time after he returns, they're right at the edge of the set, and you can kind of see the back end of the set. the promenade set.
Oh, I missed that.
Me too. They put two Jem'Hadar guys standing in the foreground to kind of cover it. But you can see it kind of goes off at a weird angle. It looks weird. I guess it's part of the promenade we've not seen, so you could argue that it's just a ramp or something. But it does look really strange.
That's strange to hear that it's in there after you said they put some guys there to block it, so they were aware of it, and it's not just something they missed.
It doesn't look wrong. It's just weird is the only way I can describe it.
There's a line of dialogue that made me feel weird in this episode.
And what is that?
When Quark cribs from Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech.
I don't want to say it's in poor taste, because he's not mocking it, really.
But he evokes it for no good reason.
Well, it's just a humorous reference, although it kind of is making lighthearted fun of a powerful political movement for anti-racism.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of funny? It's more serious, I guess.
It didn't sit well with me, and I found it distracting.
Yeah, it always comes off weird when they do random in-jokes to stuff nowadays. Maybe that's why baseball died out in the early 21st century, so that he can talk about baseball players from the modern era.
Yeah, I'm fine with fictionalized history. It's basically impossible to be offended.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been a comedy scene if he was cribbing from a fictional future speech.
You would have to explain it, and then we all know how great comedy is when you explain it.
I'm tempted to respond to that comment with, yeah, it's really bad.
No, see, guys, this is really funny because I'm taking this speech that this guy said, but then I'm replacing these words to make it humorous.
It gets out a whiteboard. I always wonder what the people like the Jem'Hadar, he says they gamble at the Dabo table. What are they gambling with?
Are they too good for gold press platinum?
Well, is that an established currency on the other side of the galaxy?
I think so. I don't know.
But that doesn't make sense if it is. It's like going to another planet and gambling with dollars or euros or something.
Maybe Quark has a currency exchange booth.
It just accepts anything. Well, other than the currency, why are the troops minted? Why do they have so much cash that they're going to gamble?
Gotta pass the time somehow while stationed on a station.
But they're there to protect the peace talks. They're not just hanging out. Well, they are actually just hanging out, which is, I guess, another point I should have made.
Why do your job when you can gamble at the Dabo table?
Because you get fired, and I'm guessing in the Dominion, if you get fired, it's probably out of a cannon into a sun.
It seems likely.
Well, on the Founder homeworld, there was a pillar, which we've seen previously. Well, hang on. I mean, we've seen the same type of pillar. Obviously, they just used the same set piece, so it probably is literally the same one.
Yeah.
But in story terms, we've seen it before on the world with the changeling virus gas attack pillar.
Oh, yeah, the one they teleported for no good reason.
Yeah, so that actually ties up a previous plot thread. That planet did have something to do with changelings.
Yeah, maybe some solids found it and they had to abandon it. So they set a trap to kill as many solids as possible who tampered with it.
Yeah, it actually makes sense now. That's the kind of crazy thing that they would do.
Yeah, this is no longer our
Just sit-
home, and you guys can't be here either.
No one can be here, not even the other changelings, because we're going to put mad monster viruses everywhere. So,
Well, that makes sense, because if they discover that changeling virus, it'll make them curious and want to seek out more of the changeling stuff.
well, yeah, I guess it made Odo try to kill as many solids as he could. They never tied up the plot threads with Odo getting reassigned, but they may
Yeah,
address that yet.
I kept waiting for that.
Well, I don't think they're going to reassign him now. He's ace in the hole.
But something needs to be said. They can't just drop that. I'll even take a throwaway line in the next episode.
We'll see. I can't recall if they address it or not. I wouldn't be surprised if it just never got addressed. It makes sense. They have a fairly considerable enemy, and he's one of their rare and sacred founders who never harm each other. So if you put him on a ship, then presumably the Jem'Hadar would not shoot it, I guess.
Or they would just beam him off and then shoot it.
Okay, I didn't think of that. I don't know if when she said no changeling has ever harmed another, I don't know if she would count like indirect harm.
Oh, like kill the engine and then they just end up dying? Oh, I didn't kill them. The ship did.
Yeah. Just ask the Jem'Hadar, yeah, could you go shank that guy? What, it wasn't me, it was that guy, Jem'Hadar guy. He's knife crazy.
When she said that, I got this vision of psychological warfare where she would pull all these tricks and say, oh, well, I'm not harming you physically.
Well, she kind of did. She said, you have to leave. You're not allowed in the big sex party. Go home. Don't come back until you're a racist.
I'm glad you said sex party, because when Odo melds with her, I was thinking, all right, we're watching Odo have sex, basically. That's what this is.
I don't think it's kind of like that, but he does get his O face, so presumably it's very enjoyable.
But they're all related, so...
No.
Anyway, that Kira and Odo moment at the end had more tenderness and warmth than Kira and Baral ever did.
Oh, poor Baral. Is he going to get another kick in? He hasn't even appeared since last time we made fun of him.
Yeah, maybe we need to apply Keiko's rule to Baral.
Nah.
To rein in my seething hatred.
If you want to vent about him, on you go. I'm not taking part.
No, I just wanted to point out that one moment and how Kira and Odo have a nice connection.
Yeah, they've got history.
And it was cute when she was talking to plants and trees.
Confusing changelings. So, the changelings are the founders.
Correct?
The Jem'Hadar are their troops.
I'm with you.
Which leaves the wonky ear guys. You know, the ones with the tall ears that look like...
Yeah, the tall ears and the flat top.
Yeah, they got harmonica ears.
They are the solids to carry out the plans of the shapeshifters.
Yeah.
It's nice that they threw that in there, that they have a word for others to call them solids, and how they seem disgusted when they say it.
Yeah. They have quite a lot of good words. Monoforms, metamorphic abilities. It's good that they introduced a whole load of words to talk about this stuff with. I mean, I guess obviously they had to. It'd be really weird if a female changeling was trying to explain everything, but didn't have any words for it.
It should have precise terminology.
We really hate the guys that aren't shapeshifters. Which ones? Just all of the guys that aren't shapeshifters.
The ones who can't shapeshift.
We really hate assuming the form of the type of guys that don't shapeshift kind of form. With the legs and arms.
That would be great if there were a draft of the script that was written like that.
They're terrified of our ability to do the thing where we're not like the guys that can't do the thing we can do into a space bird.
And then that's where Kira's line would still fit. I'm not really sure I know what that means.
Why does no one on this planet make any goddamn sense? Speaking of words and their assemblage and usage, do you have a quote?
After years of hemming women's dresses, a little action is a welcome change of pace.
I find it weird that he says women's dresses.
Yeah, that stood out. Why call out women? Maybe hemming men's dresses is much better.
Well, that's what my mind leaps to.
Yeah, it's the logical place to go when you hear women's dresses.
Yeah, I mean, I could see in the future they just have dresses and maybe guys wear them and they don't care because they go over the whole clothes thing. But then why would he be so frustrated by women's dresses?
Maybe he's misogynistic and believes women have exacting demands for their dresses.
These goddamn hems.
Why can't they hem themselves?
Nothing like men's hems. If only this was a man's dress, I'd have hemmed it ages ago.
None of these problems would exist.
But I see why you chose that quote, or maybe why you chose it. The last 2 seasons have not had as much stuff going on as this season so far.
Yeah, this season started off really exciting. And while season 2 was good, it was more subdued than these 2 episodes we've seen in season 3 so far.
It feels like the universe got a lot bigger with the Dominion, the Founders.
And scarier.
The Romulans are mucking about too. They've not made much of an appearance. I liked Garrick's line about it's the wrong time to worry about their careers.
Oh, right, because they might die.
Yeah, he has to explain it in really basic terms. But seriously, some or all of us are about to die. But it's just the way he does it. He's really chirpy, like, haha, guess what? Go on, you'll never guess. We're all gonna die.
Garrick is great, and I always love when he shows up. They haven't overused him yet, and I hope they don't, but it's always nice when he shows up.
He always pops up when things get a bit fighty and just throws a spanner in the works.
Should we talk about Dax's weird hair?
Oh yeah, I think we should, because I get the feeling it's that just these 2 episodes.
I said this last episode, but this 2-parter is just full of weird stuff.
Yeah. New season, I guess they're trying to remember how to make the show.
Yeah, shaking things up, which is good. You want to keep the core of what it is, but then make sure not to be stagnant. So I actually applaud them for the weirdness and the risks. But man, Dax's hair. It's strange that they would make it similar to Kira's.
Maybe she's cribbing Kira's style.
She has a crush on her? I just thought of a good episode idea based on the hair.
I thought you said based on Dax and Kira crushing on each other. Which,
oh, no.
If you want that, there's a whole internet of fan fiction out there.
Yeah, I'm sure that has claimed a section of the internet. Many lives. Well, what I was going to say is that Dax cribbing Kira's hair could be a sign of Dax having some sort of identity crisis, because she's had so many lives, and how do you take ownership of that when those are lives that you didn't necessarily live out, and how that would be weird?
But surely having that many lives would make you more confident, perhaps, not less.
Oh, fine.
Okay.
But I think it would be interesting to explore that.
I'm sure there will be another episode about how Dax is a wishy-washy character. So, I don't know if there's an episode about her having a bad hair day,
Dax's bad hair day.
but I can't remember every episode. And there are some real clunkers still to come, so maybe. I think it's time to move on and see how they live with the Dominion hanging over them like a sword of Damocles. Why do people say sword of Damocles?
I don't know.
So, like, what else is he famous for?
That's all I know.
Yeah, Damocles. Yeah, the guy with the sword on the thread and all that.
Well, it's like Trident of Poseidon.
No, it says Trident of Poseidon.
Sure, they do. I hear it all the time.
They just say Trisidon.
Oh, okay.
All
Is
right.
it time to go onwards?
It is. That's what I was trying to say. Onwards to the next episode.
Sounds good.